Hi, everybody. Welcome to Looking Through the Glass. Today we have Jay from Happy Souls Kids. Now, Jay, we've been talking a little bit before we started. Um, you have quite a history. Like, you've been through
I
quite a
do,
bit.
Sarah. I do. I go through the traumas so I can help other people with theirs. So, yes,
That's how
I
we
have
do
been
it.
through a lot. Yeah, you know, I think you got to go through some big stuff to be able to support and help other people and hold space for them. And I think that, when you kind of realize that and everything's happening for you, not to you, and those things that you don't like hearing at the time, kind of makes sense. So, no, I have been through a lot, but I think that it's made me a much compassionate, stronger, empathetic person. And for that, I'm grateful.
I agree. I like to look at the positives because it's happening for us, not to us.
Mm.
It's not against us. It's to help us grow.
Mm.
Are you willing to give a little bit of your story to our listeners?
Oh, yes, I love talking, so please cut me off if I go for too long. Okay, so first of all, my name is Jacintha, but everyone gets very confused by my name, so everyone calls me Jay. So people are welcome to call me Jay. It's like Jacinta and Samantha put together, so it's called Jacintha. Told my mum she's given everyone a lisp for the rest of my life. It just doesn't quite work for people. I had a great auntie who would just say, "Hey," and that was what my name was. Hey. And that's okay. We are all good with that. We can make as many jokes, but I'll get back to the serious stuff now. Oh gosh, how far I can go back. I was always a happy little girl growing up. I picture myself with a yellow dress and always happy and laughing. And then just things changed. I was shut down a lot in my childhood, and I thought differently to other people, and people would shut me down for that, and I'd never be able to have a voice. And then I turned to sugar. Sugar was my vice, and it was my way to get through self-regulation. I would just steal $2 from my mum's wallet every day and go to the milk bar and grab some lollies, some mates I used to get. Oh gosh, that was so delicious now that I'm thinking about them. And that was how I self-soothed during that time when I was a child. And then in high school, I started dating someone really early when I was about 17, and I thought I was so cool. Oh, I'm a 17-year-old with an older boyfriend, and then he introduced me to the party scene like really early as a child. And we were on and off for 15 years, and it was such a destructive relationship. There was, which I've only recently been able to label it as domestic violence. Like it was bad, and looking back now, I think, how on earth did I allow myself to be treated like that? Like I was so broken as a little girl. I just wanted to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
And so that went on for such a long time until I found the strength within me. People around me were like, "What are you doing?" And it was like a web, a spider's web that you just can't get out. Like you're stuck in there and you don't know why and you don't want to be, but you just get stuck. And so when I released myself from there, I was like, okay, thank goodness. And then I was single for about 7 years, entered another relationship. We started quite quickly, moved in quite quickly. I had a baby within a couple of years. And as soon as I became a mum, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the best. This is the best. Like, this is amazing. I loved being a mum. And I remember my ex-partner saying, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever done. Like, I loved it. Like, I just really felt into it. But I had a business during that time as a social media agency, and I was working so much, I didn't have time to be a mum. Like it was that struggle where he started going to his grandparents more than me. And I was like, that's just not the mum that I wanted to be. So I just stopped and I said, I'm not doing this. This is not who I want to be. And I started studying integrative nutrition and really learn about my body and what we put in our body and how much sugar I was eating and the damages it was doing and all of that stuff. And then after then I stopped drinking. So when I was 18, when my son was 18 months old, I'd had a couple of drinks before then, obviously breastfeeding for 12 months, etc. I hadn't drank, and I was so much fun. I would still go to nightclubs with parties, friends, they'd have birthdays there. And, I'm like me and 10 o'clock, we're very good friends. We got to 10 o'clock at night and I'd leave, and my friends were like, you're so fun. And that was the first time that I was like, I don't need alcohol to have fun. I don't need this. Like, I'm so secure within myself. Like, I can be in these situations, in these areas without drinking. And so when I hadn't drank for a couple of years, and he was 18 months old, and I said, oh, let's go out for dinner. It was like an anniversary or something. And we're like, let's go out for dinner. So I had lychee martinis and espresso martinis, and I was back. I was like back to being myself pre-baby, and I was like, oh, we are having a good time. My body completely rejected it. I got so sick, started throwing up, not just in the toilet at the place. I don't tell anyone when those things happen. And then on the Uber on the way home, and then I had a hangover 5 days, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm so done. And everyone around me, because I was always the party girl, was like, oh, whatever. Yes, everyone always says that. But I just knew in myself that I just didn't want to be that mum. I wanted to be a really present mum for my child. And I've never drank since. So we're coming up to 10 years. But the biggest thing, I've had many traumas that I haven't spoken about in that time, but the biggest thing for me was when we separated. It was 2019, 2020. We separated. My son started school and it was COVID all at the same time. And he was not okay. He was throwing bins up the street, running around the house, like just jumping out of the car. His emotions were so well beyond anything I could support at the time. And so I started studying as much as I possibly could to be able to support my own child. And in that, I learnt the pain points and realized that even though I'd been on my own journey, I'd done meditation, breath work, I'd done all of these things to be able to support and help myself. That's not a child's language. That's not what they understand. So when I say, how you feeling? He's like, good. It's a 5-year-old child that's going through trauma, throwing bins around going, I feel great. And you're like, oh, okay. So then I started really researching as much as I could to be able to support him. And I saw during COVID that kids couldn't gain access to psychologists. There was a 6 to 12 month wait. And so I started studying to become a family and child counsellor, art therapist. I've studied play therapy. I'm a kids yoga teacher. And that was the birth of my other baby, Happy Souls Kids, where we support children's emotions. And I was in practice with one of the kids. I had a private practice in Torquay for 4 years. And I said, hey, do you want to do some meditation? He just like rolls his eyes at me like, whatever, lady. And I said, LeBron James meditates. And instantaneously he wanted to meditate straight away. And so that was the birth of Happy Souls Kids being beyond just a practice to something global. So we now interview athletes and kids heroes. We interviewed Teddy Swims a couple of weeks ago, lots of Olympians, or we've got AFL here, basketball players, NBL. We have NBL, not NBA. And it's just helping kids realize that even their strongest heroes, even the people they see on TV, even the people that they love the most still have these big feelings that they're having. So there's nothing wrong with you. You're just having a feeling or emotion, or you're going through a pain point. Because a child will see somebody win a gold medal and be like, wow, they're so talented. And you're like, well, yes, they are, but you haven't seen the journey of what they've had to go through to get there. And so we tell those journeys so a child can be like, oh, okay, this is what I do in those moments. I'm feeling frustrated and angry. I've got my breath. I've got an air conditioner in my body, and I can help calm myself down. So it's all the things that I taught in practice, just on a bigger scale. So that's just a little part of my journey of how we got to where we are today.
Like, so you have these big people come in and tell their journeys on how they got where they are. That is so great, because you're telling the hard work and the dedication and the struggle of doubt and all these other things that they come across.
And you're teaching, letting kids
know that what you see on TV or what you see at the end point isn't the person itself. Like, there's a lot to it. That's really great. We need something like that here in America.
Well, it's coming. So want to be one of our beta testers, you can. It's in a beta testing phase at the moment. And, it's just to help people understand that we all have these big feelings and emotions. And, when I was growing up, like, I just didn't think that my mum or dad loved me because they wouldn't pay much attention, or they'd be frustrated, and it had nothing to do with me. It was because they had so much going on. And it's not until you become a parent that you're like, your mind is so full. Sometimes you are stuck in here. So I teach parents to be real authentic with our children. Like, hey, I've got this going on. We've got some financial stuff. Like, we don't need to go into the actual story of what it is, but I have some big stuff going on. So please understand that it's not you. I've got stuff that I'm moving through with me. So often in a parent's generation, they'll just block you off, like, don't worry
I
about
love
it. We're fine. We're Superman and Superwoman and everything's great. And then you become a parent. You're like, no, my parents were not Superman and Superwoman. They were living day to day trying to exist and trying to survive, as we all do. So it's just these little lessons that I guess I've learned in my time to be able to support and help not just children, parents as well, because they're actually the ones that need the most help.
They really do. I'm 8 months pregnant, so I'm on my
Hey,
way there. Thank
congratulations. Oh,
you.
that's
And
so exciting.
It
it
is.
really is.
It is.
And a lot of what you're saying is 100% what I tell my mom every day. I'm like, now this is how I'm gonna be doing it, because she needs to know the real things that are going on. She needs to know
Yeah.
that it's okay to have emotions and to
Mm.
express it in this in a healthy manner. And
Mm.
man, I love it because it's very beautiful in that you offer that to kids and know that parents need help just as much.
They do.
And
We all need help. We do.
And here, there's always I've fought with many people and argued with many people about it. On, you need to let children understand that you have a life going on
Mm.
as well. You have
Mm.
bills. If you're tight on money, let your kids know, hey,
Mm.
look, we can't, to the appropriate age wise,
Yeah.
but hiding everything from your children is not the answer, because they're feeling it, they're seeing it, but they're not understanding it
And you know who they blame?
themselves
Correct. They blame
every
themselves.
time,
Yep.
because they don't know how to blame anybody else.
Yeah, that's correct. They do.
yeah,
They blame themselves. Whereas if we're authentic about it, they go, "Oh, it's not me. I haven't done anything wrong. I get it." No,
exactly. They're
Exactly.
not
it's
going,
And
I'm
it
the
relieves
problem.
the parents from thinking that they have to be Superman all the time, or
yeah.
Supermom, or Wonder Woman, or this impenetrable force, and
Mm.
that's not the situation.
Mm.
And I've always argued with raising with my kids is, no, they're going to see messy mom, because guess what,
Mm.
that's what I am right now.
Mm.
And then I'm going to let them know things are rough, I'm dealing with this, or I'm just going through things, this and that. But there's a lot of things that when I didn't do that, it created harm and it hurt my daughter. I
Mm.
actually did the things that I didn't want to do when I
Mm.
wasn't open and honest, and when I was trying to hide things, when I was trying to be Superman or Superwoman, however you want to put it.
Mm.
That's why we're
Yeah.
doing this today.
And it's so beautiful that you've got this space for these big conversations for people, because people need to hear them, and it's big. They don't want to hear it all the time, but it is stuff that we need to hear. When I'm grumpy, my son will say, "You're grumpy, you need to go for a run." So he understands, and he's been
But
doing
he
that
should
ever
be
since he was
able to.
7. Yeah.
That's not disrespect, that's honesty. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents will confuse that for being disrespectful, and
Oh,
it's
that
not him
word,
being respectful.
disrespectful. Oh,
Yeah,
that word, disrespectful. It's like,
and it's him just being a human being and having an
she
open space.
she wants to go on a tangent on
Yeah,
that
we could
word.
go on the tangent with
oh,
disrespectful.
I do as well. Like, it's just, the thing with disrespectful, yeah, is that I tell parents, I say, when your child's older, do you want them to stand up for themselves? I said, yeah, of course. And I said, guess who it starts with? It starts with you. So when your
Hmm.
child stands up with you at home, do a little fist pump. Be like, yes, okay, yes. And sometimes it can really hurt, and they are blunt. And they will
Hmm.
tell you how it is. And sometimes you need to hear it. And so sometimes my son will say, I'm not doing that, mummy. I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, oh, okay, but we kind of need to. And he's like, I'm not doing that, mummy. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I respect and validate your feelings and opinions, and just a different language with our kids. It's understanding that they have a voice too, and the more that we shut
Yes.
them down, the more. And I was shut down most of my life, still am, by my family, a lot. And it's we're all allowed to have a voice. We're all
Hmm.
allowed to have an opinion. And sometimes your child's opinion is not what your opinion is, and that's okay. They see things differently. And I think that as long as we give kids that opportunity to speak, it's really important for them and their growth is to have an opinion.
I'm sorry, you're making me tear up over here because
Oh,
you are speaking everything that I have been fighting for. It's
yeah.
something it really connects with me. We talk about it a lot. I didn't really have a voice. I
Mm.
was always told I was too sensitive because I had emotions,
Oh,
and
hi. Hi,
you
hi.
and so that's why I started this whole wanted to start this whole thing because we did our healing. We worked through our,
Mm.
everything that we've been through together. And and I am such a huge advocate for kids having a voice and them being
Mm.
able to express themselves, because being shut down, it's so hard to come back out, and you don't know how
Mm.
to express yourself. And like you said, you want them to stand up for themselves. How are they supposed to stand up for themselves as an adult if they don't know how to do it as a kid?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like this is where we learn, is in the childhood. It's also, we're here to teach our kids to be independent, not to rely on us. And when they leave that nest, it's really hard. But that's when we've done our job, is to let them go out in the wide world. And that means having a voice and having an opinion and standing up for themselves. So, Jeselle, I want to just give you a little hug. Thank you for the work that you do, in allowing children to have a voice, because it's so important. It's so much more important than we realize, for their development and their growth. And it's not always what we want to hear.
No,
um,
it's not.
but it's okay. It's okay, like, to validate people, and not just our kids, people around us. I mean, like, let's put a spanner in the works here and say politics, which I don't want to talk about. But when it comes to politics, people have these like really big opinions on different
Mhm,
things, and unless you fit in a box, you are not allowed anywhere near other people. And I find that
mhm,
so challenging, because a person's life has shaped who they are, has shaped their beliefs, has shaped many different things, the circles that they've been in, the people that they've surrounded themselves with. And so, rather than just shutting people down for how they think, like, go into their world and say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about why you feel that way? And understand, because I have this ability as a counselor to see things from both sides. I have an ability to be able to understand why a person thinks the way that they do. And I think that if we can do that more as humans, is to actually just be curious and inquisitive to how a person's feeling. It's just really important. It's really important to have those big conversations, because that's what builds connection. We can have differing opinions and still be friends. You just meet on the ground. We don't have to like shut someone down because they think a certain way. Like, as humanity, let's allow people to have a voice. And sometimes it's not the voice you want to hear, but that's okay. That's their choice as a human being.
Oh, that was so beautifully put. I never thought of it that way. I'm an open-minded person. I was raised to
Mm.
have an open mind, and and see things from both sides. I'm very much, and if I'm in a conflict, I'm always going to somebody else that's a third person to help me see
Mm.
where I'm wrong if I'm in that situation, so I can fix where I'm wrong.
Yes.
And um
Hey, Jeselle, sometimes it's not you as well, by the way, but it's okay.
I know, but I like to make sure because you never know, and sometimes when you're in a situation and things are so heated, like I'm just in a heated situation, and all you're seeing is what I read, and because you're so upset, and then things are exchanged and words are said, or and I don't want to
Mm.
be that person that says something wrong, and then you know things can go wrong. And I like to make sure that it's not always me, and or I'm trying to see it from their point of view and not just my point of view.
Yeah.
So that's something that is very strongly, that's so avoided in this world. It is
Mm.
really avoided. And I say in the world because it really is.
Mm. And that's how we build connection, is we go into other people's worlds. And it's uh, and we do say silly things, and we do stuff up, and we do, but I think it's the rupture and repair that's so important, not just with our kids, because at some stage you're going to yell, you're going to get angry, you're going to say something you really regret. And it's just accepting that and saying, hey, I wasn't my best self, and I really wish I didn't say that. Or can I have another go at that? We have like an Uno reverse where we go, oh, that was a little bit of verbal diarrhea, not good. Can I have another go at that? And it's allowing people to show up in a different way when they've really had an opportunity to think about it, and to have that voice again, because like this happens a lot. We don't think it comes out. You're like, whoopsie, I didn't mean to do that. It's okay to go back to that person and have that apology, and because what that does is then that allows them, with the people around them, to go, oh, when I did that, I should probably go and apologize, or have an Uno reverse, or have a different scenario, because we all go through really hard times in our life and no one really knows what's happening behind closed doors. And I think that if we judge people on a particular moment in our life, something that's happened to them like for 30 seconds, they might be the most wonderful person 99.9999% of the time, but somebody does something wrong because they've got something internally happening and they're judged on that one particular moment. And I think that we need to understand that that's a moment in time for people. That is a moment. That is not who they are. That is in a moment in their life. We all go through pain points. We all go through times in our life that are really challenging. And so if we can just have some more compassion and love and empathy for people, the world would be a much nicer place.
Yeah. I
Agreed.
Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out how to go on to this other subject without like just jumping through a whole nother
Let's just
gun.
jump. We're jumping, Giselle. We're jumping.
Yeah, let's just jump off the bridge here. It's a beautiful topic, but I feel like we covered a lot of aspects on it, because the other topic that I know that we hit on before we got on here was internet.
Okay, big one. This is a big
kids.
one. Yeah. Buckle in, everybody. This is a tough conversation.
Oh, it's a tough conversation, but it's
so needed.
I personally know what the internet did to me at a young age. I went through that. That became an addiction for me, and one that I broke not even a year ago. And it's still a tough thing, but I'm 28 and I started it 15 years ago. So I can only imagine it's everywhere. Kids are watching on tablets. Kids are watching on phones, and the mom needs a ball to take their phone to pay for something, and the kid freaks out and screams. But it also comes down to how often it's exposed to them at home, and like video games and the internet just all together.
And this is sorry, keep on going.
I wanted to know what your point of view was.
Okay, so this is a big question and subject for me, for many different reasons. When I had a child, I was like, we're going to live in the earth, we're going to live near nature, we're going to go surfing, everything's going to be wonderful. That is not who my kid is, and it's not who he's ever been. He loves tech, and I needed to accept that part of him. I needed to accept and love and nourish that part of him that really loves tech. Like, he was putting batteries in toys when he was 2 years old. He has an engineering brain. He's very switched on, technology minded. Like, he's the tech kid in classes. Like, he's very smart. And that's a part of the way his brain works. And so I had to fight against myself to accept that part of him, because I was like, no, tech's bad. We're not having tech. Tech and kids don't work. His dad bought him a Nintendo when he was really early, just as we were separating. And so he became addicted when he was like 5 or 6, loves Nintendo. He loves the big stuff. He's like an extremist. He has no fear. He's a beautiful kid, but he gets that addiction, and you can see it. And so over time, I've had to just accept things. And so there's 2 parts of it. There's the tech addiction and there's a social isolation. So if your friends are all playing particular games and you're not playing, you're not part of those conversations and you feel left out. So there's been times where I have just surrendered and been like, okay, no worries. So Roblox, let's start right with the big one, Roblox. I just had an article in Australia that was published with a double-page spread on this. I'm very passionate about it. So my son asked if he could have Roblox, and I was like, yep, okay. Didn't think much of it. It's the game. It's a game for kids. Like, of course it is. It's just a game. It is not just a game. No. So I noticed some behaviors with him when he had Roblox. And we would go on bike rides, and he's like, oh, I'm too tired. I want to go home. And I was like, oh, what? We've only been going for a kilometer or 2. What do you mean you're tired? He would run straight home and grab his iPad and go on Roblox. And I was like, oof. Okay, I'm a counselor. I noticed the addictive gambling type behavior straight away. And I was like, oh, this is not good. And so I just witnessed it for a while rather than saying anything. I just witnessed the behavior. I worked out what was happening before I actually had those big conversations, because we can yell and scream at our kids and they get the iPad when you're asleep and they go to the cupboard. So it's approaching it in a way that really helps them. And so then on New Year's, he waited till 12 o'clock at night to get a particular star, because at 12 o'clock they were releasing a star. And I was like, oh, that's just not good. You know, like he was 10 years old at that point, waiting till midnight to get a star. I was like, what is this game doing? And so then I read all about the predators, and I read all about the fact that an average gamer is 34 years old. And that speaks volumes, you know. And I read all about the grooming and the sexualization, and it just broke me. You know, I was seeing these patterns within my own son. I could see them happening. You know, they were in front of me, and I just had to witness. I had to go through a stage of witnessing first. And so I sat down with him and I said, hey, I've noticed some really big behaviors here. I've noticed some changes in your patterns and the way that things are going on. And we had a big conversation about it. There's a show in Australia called Parental Guidance, and it's one that I really love and I recommend to lots of my clients as a counselor. And it's really real life situations that you don't really have conversations at home with your kids. So for instance, if there's a fire in the house, what do you do? I mean, if you're stuck in the city, how do you get home? Like all these really beautiful conversations that we don't really think about to always have with our children. And one of them was on gaming. And so it actually shows what happens. It shows the bullying that happens within gaming. It shows the, the sexualization within a child-friendly way. I always say to parents, watch it first before this happens. But it shows them what's going on. So you're not a nagging parent going, I want you to stop playing Roblox. I'm educating him on why. We read books. We watched age-appropriate reels. And I continued to show him, and this took time, like a couple of weeks, even a couple of months. It took time for me to help him understand why the game's not right. And then eventually he said to me, Mummy, I'm going to delete it. And he cried and he cried and he cried and he cried and he cried, you know, because a part of him knew that he wouldn't be with his friends, but he also knew that his mum was trying to keep him safe. And so that was fine. And he was still very triggered when some of his friends were playing. And it's very hard as a parent to hound other parents about decisions they're making. All we can do is lead by example. And so we moved from Torquay, where we were living for 4 years, which is a surfing capital where Kelly Slater surfs, and we moved back to Melbourne. He changed schools back to the original school that he had after we sold our house when we separated. And the first question that kids asked him was, what is your Roblox username? And so we had already gone through all of that in the last kind of year or two, and then I had to go back into it. And I had to explain to him that it's not safe. And he knew it, but he also wanted to fit in with his friends. And so that's been really hard. It's been a hard conversation because some of his really good friends still play, and that's a decision that they make within their household. I can't stop that. All I can do is publicly talk about it and maybe have articles in the Herald Sun, which is our Australian paper or Victorian paper. And maybe that's when parents can band together, because the issue is the socialization with kids and the feeling left out. So if we all delete it, it makes it so much easier for everybody else. Now, I am not against tech. My son loves tech. He loves Nintendo. He's very good at it. He had a really bad accident recently, and he just the Nintendo 2 happened to come out. He was on it for weeks. It's not that tech is the devil. It's what kids are doing on tech that is the devil. Yes. It is making sure that we have healthy games. Super Mario, wonderful. Donkey Kong, great. Even Minecraft, which we call digital Lego, there's obviously some things with Minecraft, but, you've got to have your battles. Like I say, okay, have Minecraft, but don't have this. At the moment, we've got the Fortnite conversation, and I have avoided Fortnite for as long as I possibly can, and it's getting a lot more challenging. So what we say in a practice as a counselor is sign a contract. Hey, if your behavior changes, if things change, we're cutting it off. if things get aggressive, if that if you don't get off when I ask you to get off, it's done. So it's going into contracts with kids and seeing like you are only allowed to have, say, 1 hour a day or whatever it might be, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 6 hours, whatever you do as a parent is totally okay. That's your decision. Just know that, the less time kids have on tech, the better. The other piece of the puzzle that I always say to people is make sure they have balance. You can go on your tech as long as you've had connection, as long as you've been out in nature, as long as you've eaten great food. So if they're on tech, they're especially neurodiversity, ADHD, if we've got too many sugars going on and tech, it is a cocktail for disaster. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just that having that education piece with kids of like, okay, I respect that it's important to you. I respect that having your friends around to play is really important to you. And I honor that. I honor you for that because it's important to you. But you need to get outside in nature. You need to do some exercise. You need to be outside. You need to eat good, healthy food. So it's making sure that they understand that it's a part of their life, but not the be and all and end all of their life. It's a balance. The other piece is I suggest to parents have things on the big screen. Don't allow them to grab their little iPads and go into their room because you don't know what they're doing. So making sure that you put it on the big screen, you can see what's going on and play with them. You mightn't like tech, but it's important to them. So play with them. Play Super Mario. It's so fun. Like have
I
a
play
have a
Super
game of Super
Mario
Mario.
Kart.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
play with them. So go into their world too. It's important for you to understand because I don't know if you've seen shows like Adolescence. Did you get Adolescence over there? Please watch
I
it. It
think
can be very
I think
triggering for some parents, but yeah,
I think we have it out here. I think it's on Netflix for us out here.
Everything
it's a
we talk
brilliant
about is
series.
triggering on this podcast. Don't worry.
Yeah, gosh. Okay, good. It is, but it's such an important watch for parents, and I wrote an article on this too. It really helps parents understand that things can happen to any of our kids. If
Mhm.
you don't watch them, if they are down rabbit holes watching TikTok and YouTube my son loves. Every time I leave the house, it's on the big screen. So we're working out
My
ways that
son
we can
too.
stop that from happening, and he'll grab my phone and he's like, I always, every day, it's like, can you stay off YouTube, please? Like, if I'm there with you, it's good. And at the same point, he learned how to do a 3D printing business from YouTube. So it's great in some points, but there's a dark element as well that they don't understand. They're cutting heads off in the middle of Peppa Pig things and
Yes, that's where a lot of mine came in, and I know Australia and America are very. There's a lot of things that are very different in the media
mm,
wise, and America, a lot of the kids shows that they're displaying on certain platforms are very much on the grooming
mm,
aspect.
Very, very
And
much grooming.
especially the more
mm,
modern ones, the ones I grew up on, like some of them, yes, but not a lot of them. A lot of them are learning, and then a lot of them are for kids that are like 2 years old, and I'm just like, why
mm,
are 2 year olds watching this?
yeah.
And that I don't want to take that away from my child completely, but that's something I looked at my husband and said, there's certain shows that she's not allowed to watch. No
Mm,
ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, I don't want her to have to watch something like that. And, it become,
mm.
training her young brain into something that it shouldn't be. And the internet, man, because I've had such an experience with internet itself. I want to be able to teach her, and knowing that, getting a different point of view on how to walk her through it, and
Mm.
not just take it away, but walk her through it. That is amazing, and I don't think that's taught.
Giselle, I would love to hear from you about your experiences because you're obviously a kid, yeah, and there's lots of people listening that will be following because I've got lots of people that are really interested in this topic right now. So I would love to hear from you. Like, if you feel safe, what are some of the
Oh,
things that you've experienced?
so I was introduced to the internet world. I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that. I'm 28, so I grew up in the 2000s era,
Mm,
and that when internet started becoming a really big thing. And I was about 13, 14 years old when I was introduced to the internet world, cell phone, getting to, how do I explain it? So the internet world for me was very much talking to people. That's where Facebook came in place. MySpace.
I was gonna say MySpace was your start.
No, MySpace wasn't. It was actually it was a website called Meet Me, where I would meet random people and talk to them. And mine was because I
At
had
what
a lack.
age, can I ask?
13.
I was 13 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fights.
There was a lot of fights. I would be talking to random people. And of course, there is the big thing of what we call catfishing, where they pretend to be a certain age that they're not, or a certain person that they are not. They use fake pictures. It was a big thing with MySpace. And, and it treaded onto other, websites. And one thing that I was introduced to from somebody was a role playing type thing where you talk to people and you create your own story with them and you go back and forth. And that became my addiction. And that's where because I was getting something from that I wasn't getting from my real world. Because my father lived in another state, my mother worked for a job, so I was home alone and I didn't really have any friends. And
So just to be clear for other people, like I know what you're talking about, but just to be clear from other people, like what were you missing?
I was missing connection with my mom. I was missing the love from, and this is really hard to say because he's active now, but I was missing a fatherly figure and the love from a father figure. So I seeked it out from men. And so there was a lack of attention from parents altogether. And where that I'm the problem came into the mind a lot. And so I no longer wanted to be the problem. I no longer wanted to be the kid that was bullied at school. I no longer wanted to be me. I wanted to be somebody else. And the internet world allowed me to be a different person, a different Jeselle. And I was taught a lot of the dangers of the internet, and that went out the door because I was getting love and attention and care.
You were
And
seen, heard, valued by the wrong
yes.
people. Yeah.
And so that led me into meeting random people and falling into a pattern of giving myself away in a way. I no longer was allowing myself to care about who I was talking to. It was, oh, this person's giving me attention. Well, let me talk to him. Well, he wants to tell me that he's 18 years old. I'm 13, 14 years old, and I'm talking to him. And there was times where I did tell my real age, and they were perfectly fine with it. There was times where I was sending pictures of me, and because they asked, and there was no questions asked. I did not look older than what I was. And then, then there was older men that started coming into the picture. And, I talked to girls too, but how did I know that they were girls? And that went on for many years. And when I lost the websites, I found something else I can go on. Well, this website no longer exists. Well, I'm going to go on here. And this app now carries it. And that app was Kick. And I fell into that world for many, many years. That one
Kick?
still
I've never heard of
exists.
that one.
It's still an existing app. It's just KIK. That's all it is. And they have their own, they used to have games and all these other things, but you just can send out, there's the one little website where you can just send out what you want, and people can randomly message you.
And what would be some of those messages?
you can send out, like, if you're, some people are searching for just like a role play aspect, and if people don't know what role playing is more of um just a story, basically a story play. That you have your erotic role playing, which is what it really is, and then you have just your story baseline where you know, it can be clean or they'll be mixed, or there's a lot of different baselines to it, and you just you take two roles, two names, and you go with the flow. That you send your part, they send their part, and it becomes becomes a storyline basically. You might as
Mm.
well read a book if that's really it. But then how I explained it was the creativity wasn't there for me. I liked the creativity of it. And
Would this
um,
be like video calls with other people that you don't know?
sometimes it could lead up to that. It's more like text
Mm.
messaging, but it can lead up to that. Sometimes it would um, become a video call. They'd be like, well, do you want to call, or do you want to video call? And then, you know, because sometimes they'll ask for pictures, and then, or a video or a voice message, or um, because they'll try to take it and lead it into a more personal aspect. Your boundary is, I want this, and I'm trying to keep it at that, but then they want to become more of a personal aspect. And if you're open to that personal aspect, now you're opening yourself up to them learning
Mm.
about you.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of it came from is, well, I didn't keep that boundary. I was like, well, I'm open to this because they're giving me the attention that I want.
Mm. Oh, that just, Mum, I just want to give you a little hug right now for many, many reasons during that. Jeselle, thank you so much for being so open and honest. Like, we as parents don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And, you know, it's that deep,
I
dark
had no
world that
clue.
it is. You had no clue. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's,
I knew I was busting her and I was catching her because she was, she would be in trouble because she was talking to people that she wasn't supposed to talk to. I would catch her sometimes. I didn't catch her nowhere near the amount of time that she was
no, because
actually
kids are
on those
crafty.
things. If
Kids are
that kids are
crafty.
very crafty, and she was,
Yeah.
I would take the phone, I took the battery, and I come home from work, and this is where I was really trying to get out of a very abusive relationship. And and I was working, like you said, 4 jobs, trying to keep afloat, in because Las Vegas is not an easy city to live in.
Oh, that's
um
where you were living?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that's where we're,
wow. That's a
yeah.
whole
So not
nother
only that, it
spanner
was
in the
also,
works.
Yeah, plus she was also in Las Vegas, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the
Yeah.
world to live in.
and then you're
Mm.
exposed at a
When
young
you're
age. I was
vulnerable,
exposed.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
Mm.
exposed to a lot of the sexual things.
Oof.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I would catch her, I would take the phone or I would take the battery. I was like, okay. And I would come home, and being so caught up in my own world,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wouldn't click right away because I would walk in the door and she would be on the phone,
With no battery.
no
Mm.
battery, but it would be plugged into the wall. And it would take me
Mm.
about a half an hour, and then it would click. Wait a minute, you're not supposed to be on that. Nope, I'm not. Just like this. And I'm like,
And even that whole attitude around it, like, whatever, mum, you're not around, I'm gonna be find connection somewhere else. Like,
Yeah.
it's, you
mm-hmm.
know, it's, well, where are you? I'm here, but where are you? It's, oh, I
And
know
she
that
was
feeling
very
as a
valid
parent.
in that. She was very
Yeah.
valid in that, in feeling that way at that time, because where was I? I was
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
I was stuck up in my room trying to I was stuck up in my head. I was running away from a lot of my reality as much as I could.
Mm.
So yeah, where was I?
My
And
son
then,
does that. Like, he'll, like, if I'm not around, if I'm, you know, at a gym or whatever, and he goes straight onto YouTube, that is his little fuck you, mum, for not being around. Like, I know it. Like, we actually talk
mhm.
about it. Like, that's what he does. Like, well, if you're not here, and I'm a single mum and I do 98% of the work, you know, and sometimes you need a break. And so it's just, it's all in the education. Like, it's such a hard thing to manage for many people. Especially with the way that the world is at the moment. It's so hard to be able
And
to
like
fill all
you were
boxes, but the connection with kids is number one.
And
Mm.
yeah, and when, especially when you're talking about the connection with the other kids, they
Mm.
want that approval so bad. It is so
Yeah.
important to them.
Mhm.
You have no idea that they're living in this total no other social construct from
Mm.
their family life when it comes to their friend world.
Mm.
And a lot of parents don't understand that to the extent of what it really is. And they're in there
Mm.
for survival.
And I think Giselle said it really, really great, is that I didn't have the connection from my mum, so I found it somewhere else. And I
Hmm.
think that that's a really good point to make, is that's what happens. You know, if you're not there, and Dr. Shafali says this in some of her work, like if you want to take the iPad away, you make sure that you take its place. You know, you need to be there with your child. And sometimes we're exhausted and we don't want that. So yeah, it's all about boundaries. So another thing is that we've got a social media ban coming into Australia for under 16s. And so they are stopping kids under 16 with Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube's just been added, Reddit, a couple of others, but not Roblox. The
But
one
not
that has the
Roblox.
FBI challenging it and doing investigations is not included in the social media ban. I mean, really?
Which is
Is that
insane.
where we're
You
at
would
the
think that
moment?
should be like the number one on there,
I mean,
especially when
right?
there's kids on there actually taking action for themselves,
Mm. But
you know?
Giselle, I would love your thoughts on this. Before I give you mine, I would love your thoughts. Like when you hear that, how does it make you feel?
About the Roblox?
Just about the social media ban first, like spanning all of those elements for children. So we're talking any kids up to 16 in their world, like obviously kids are savvy, that those particular apps they can't use. So if that was you as a child, what would you do?
Um, not to this is gonna
No, no,
happen no
be
matter what, because
honest.
yeah, children are gonna know. It's 100% make a fake profile,
Mm,
fake my age. You know, oh, I this is year I was born. Well, I was born in this year. I can do the math. I know how to do that math. This makes me older. And I
It's a
know,
lot easier done than what we actually realize. It's so easily done
oh
from
yeah, of
what
course.
she said before.
They're saying it's a digital ID now, where you have to actually show your face to be able to use it with your.
yeah, with that, I'm sorry, that doesn't, it's not going to work. You can take a picture of somebody's face, but you have filters, we have, and not only that, we know how children are so smart with tech that
Mm,
they know how to bypass things, or they know how to put on makeup to make themselves look older. I
mm.
mean, we literally have videos
I never even
plastered
thought of that.
all
Mm,
over the place with how to make themselves look older.
mm,
So that is something that can be easily bypassed, because
mm.
AI and a photo can only go so far, and you can easily block so long.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really big conversation. I've written articles about this, that it's a band-aid fix. Like you want to delete all of those apps, no problems, but they're going to find other ones like Kick that I've never even heard of. So thank you for teaching our audiences about, with parents, obviously not kids. You know, we
Yes,
want our parents to understand the fact that if they can't have what they want, they're going to find it somewhere else, and sometimes that's in the
yes.
darker places of the web, and that's scary. And yeah. Oh,
I can point out so many apps and so many websites that can be easy access for anybody. And you can meet them. People can use them from all over the world. Um, I met
can you
people from Europe.
can you put them in the show notes maybe, or like we like it's we don't want kids to be aware of it, but we want adults to be. Maybe we can put it in a locked bag somewhere. I don't know. Maybe if we'll put it somewhere where they can kind of look through the history of their kids' iPads during this time. Like I don't know. It's just I think it's it's an education for parents as well as children. I don't think it's going to work. I think they haven't beta tested different areas or started with a small group. It's like somebody came in one day and they were this big politician and they go, let's just delete it. And that's how I feel like it happened. It's just this decision that happened without any research. And there's also, the digital ID stuff, which, is big as well. Is like they're trying to control everybody. So there's so many different elements to it, and it is a scary world out there with tech at the moment, and it's a big conversation I'm having with so many people. It's just thank you for sharing your experience with that. Like,
More than happy.
we don't know parents, like we don't know. My kid is so tech savvy.
As a parent of a child, now she's not even that tech savvy, like, you know what I mean, compared to the children that are, because I kept her from playing video games. I kept her from playing those things, like, for a very long time. I was like, why am I going to give my kids something to argue with me about? That doesn't make sense. You know? So, but these kids, you, as a parent who has lived through it, you really don't have an idea of how much your kid is being exposed to this stuff.
Oh, it's so easy. You can, I didn't have a phone. Guess what? I went to a friend's house and was on their website. Or I would sneak her phone and be on the website. Or I would go to my grandmother's house and go on the website. There's so many ways to get around it. It was we have the brains and the capacity to get around it. It's a matter of us using it. And a lot of kids know how to use their brain to get around these things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even my child, who knows that Roblox bad, when his friends are playing, like, he's over the shoulder looking, and I know he is. I've seen him, and this is where, as parents, we all need to band together. And if we band together and we all say in a friendship group or whatever, whoever's houses they're at, hey, this is really dangerous. Hopefully, there's people that will actually say it's a no for all of us, because it's. Whoa. That's why we need to educate our kids with the dangers, so then they can make informed decisions, because when they turn 16 they're going to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, they really are.
Yes. Excuse me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love the conversation. I love a lot of the knowledge that you shared and the different parenting techniques to share with people, because there's no words that I can't even say, because me personally, I've been trying to find different ways to even approach it. She's not even here yet, and I've been searching for ways to approach it, because I want to make sure that we have that connection and that open space for her to come to me if she's not happy, if she's not, comfortable. And one other thing I'll touch on is, I'm also a firm believer that if my child says, no, I don't want to hug that person, I'm not going to make them.
I have 36 aunties and uncles, and I was always made to hug people, so that is very in line with me. I don't want to hug you, and even now, it's like I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Now that was something I told her, and I want my child to be explicitly known to what to call things, and I've touched base on this, private parts. I want her to know what they're called, so that way there's no mix-up because we have the tendency of calling them cookies or this and that, and that can be misconstrued in so many ways. And I want her to know that that's your privacy, you're special. And and that's something I don't feel that's taught with children. Parents are too scared. It's too taboo for them to talk about it with their children. And this gets very controversial, but that our schools are wanting to teach that to our children. I was taught that in 5th grade by school. And
so there's actually a really beautiful story, hard-hitting, hard conversation story that I listened to just on Instagram just yesterday. So it's interesting you're bringing this up. And her child, there was this boy who was on the bus with a child, and he said, I dare you to touch my private parts. And he said, and she was like, I'm not doing that. That's uncomfortable. He goes, see, you can't do it. And she did it because he told her she couldn't do it. And so they were on the bus, and this went on for like a year. And so she got off the bus on that particular day, the first time it happened, and said, Mum, can you drive me to school the next day? And the mum was like, no, we're too busy. You just need to take the bus. And so when her mum found out about that 12 months later, that this boy had been saying that, like, can you touch my private parts? And they were 9, I think. They were 9 years old. And so having these conversations with our kids is really important. There's really great books out there that you can get to have those conversations with our kids and helping them understand that nobody gets to do that. You know, it's that is their space, that is their time. And it is really important to have those conversations at a really young age because people can cross boundaries and it's scary. And so, yeah, I think that that's a really good point to bring up. I'll try and find the Instagram and send it to you, but we just the best thing I can say about that is whenever my son comes to me and he tells me things, I say to him, hey, thanks so much for being honest with me. So I don't shame him. I don't get mad with him. I just say, hey, thanks so much for being honest with me. We have a safe space. You can tell me anything. And it starts from when they're little. So when they're little and then they go to their teen years. And so when they start drinking and things, I want to have a safe space for him to say, hey, Mum, I had a beer tonight. I'm like, okay, hey, thanks so much for telling me. How did it feel? Did you like it? And going into those inquisitive conversations. But the bigger stuff, you're preparing for it when it's the little stuff. So it's like, I ate this, I did this, I saw this person, whatever it might be when they're in their primary school years. That's where you really need to listen and validate what they're saying, because that's where you're teaching them if you're a safe person or whether you're going to hound them for being honest with you. So I think that it starts now at a really young age with our kids. And even when Jeselle, you know, when you have a baby, like keeping off technology for as long as we possibly can, you know, 3, 4 if we can, even 5, great. Because it's moving so fast and there's colors and there's addictive things and there's stuff going on and they just want to use it as much as possible. And if you do need a break, trust me, I'm a single mum. I get what that means. It's exhausting. We all need to have a break. It's finding TV shows that are on the screen that you think are appropriate for your kids. So try and keep the tablets and the phones away from them. But it's also very hard when we're sitting there going, stay off your iPad, and we're scrolling social media. And I'm the worst person at that. I'm like, get off your iPad, and I'm just scrolling. So it's also mirroring behavior as well of what we're doing. So it's the more that we can teach our kids that, you know, it has a time and a place.
I do want to ask you something, and this kind of falls into the technology or like the shows, because this is a show that is in Australia, Bluey.
Mm.
I have watched that show myself. That show has made me cry. And I wanted to ask your point of view on that show because a lot of people are starting to find that show very controversial. I personally love it, but I wanted to ask your point of view on it because it is a children's show.
I think as a mum, you need to watch things first and see how it makes you feel. Because we have the emotional intelligence and self-awareness that if you feel that it's okay for your child and they're lessons that you know that you want to teach your child, then absolutely let it happen. But if you feel uncomfortable watching certain things, and that's not triggers, like it's a different kind of uncomfortableness, such as Peppa Pig. I find Peppa Pig very I don't want to use the word obnoxious. I'm trying to think judgmental. I find her very bossy, and I don't feel comfortable always watching that show. Whereas some elements of we didn't really do the Bluey thing, so I can't say I've watched heaps of Bluey shows, but I do know that some parents love it because it does have that emotional element of connection, and it does really well with some families. But some other families, it just depends who you want your child to be.
I just realized I was supposed to have my daughter at theater practice right now.
Oh, okay. We just talked.
Because you're so easy to talk to.
Yeah, you are so easy to talk to.
I want to sit here and say thank you for coming on and thank you for your real everything. Just I love how honest you are and how, open you are. And I hope that we can have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you for creating this space. I appreciate you, and we all
Always.
appreciate you for everything that you're doing. And please get your daughter to practice. I know what that feels like. So, yeah, thanks for this space. And I'd love to have this out as early as possible, because these conversations are happening now in Australia. So if we can get this out, create some reels and things, that would be awesome.
I definitely can. We definitely can. And thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Goodbye. Lots of love from Australia to Texas.
From Texas to Australia. Right back.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.